So I think we can kick off now. So any latecomers can take part of the recording that we put online after the webinar. So hello and welcome to the first TLA Robotics event of 2021. My name is Mathias Campini and I'm one of the 6 leaders in TLA Robotics. I will be very brief so we can get to the exciting part of this event, which is the panelist presentations. So Tech London Advocates is a voluntary organization that was originally set up to promote the tech ecosystem in London, but the group has now expanded globally with multiple working groups and chapters. There are now about 10,000 members in the UK, and I urge anyone interested to send us an email or reach out to join and hear more from the group. The group email is shown here on the screen, and you can join TLA for free. The TLA Robotics working group was set up in April 2020 with the purpose of promoting the robotics and automation ecosystem with a focus on the UK and Europe. So TLA Robotics has 3 aims. When it comes to investment, the UK and Europe lags far behind North America and Asia of funding, and Asia in terms of funding of robotics companies, in particular those who have hardware components. And at the same time, we are very keen to encourage increased adoption of robotics and automation across the industry sectors, and in particular in the UK, which lags far behind his European peers and has one of the lowest industrial robot penetration levels. Furthermore, we also aim to encourage more women in robotics and automation. And I should add that one of our long-term aim is to organize physical networking events. This is obviously dependent on what happens with the COVID situation. So in this slide, you can see the team of composed TLA Robotics. And I'd like to highlight 2 of our leaders, Natasha and Mani, that you can find at the bottom of the list. And because they are organizing soon an event on robotics for students. So if you have any suggestions, internships or junior jobs to advertise, please reach out to them. Also, a quick note, during the webinar, you will not be able to share your video or audio to ask your question. But instead, you can use the Q&A section for that, and our group leaders will respond to you throughout the webinar. And you will also be able to participate in a poll during a Frank session. That's something which we are trying to engage better with you. Also, a big thank to Thomas Anderson at Style Intelligence for starting TLA Robotics in April 2020 and hosting the webinar tonight. Without this generous support, we wouldn't be able to host tonight and showcase the many exciting companies. Style Intelligence publishes free and public market reports on robotics. So if you want to get those free reports, you can go to styleintelligence.com and download reports on mobile robotics, augmented reality, or exoskeletons. With that, I will hand over to Frank from Apex. So over to you, Frank.
Thank you, Matthew. I'll just share my screen. And so parcel automation right now, the UK parcels market in 5 minutes. So 10 seconds on us, Apex Insight, we're a market analysis and consulting firm, and we cover parcels is kind of our core area, but we cover other delivery and logistics and into payments and consumer credit, other areas. And there's more info about us on our website. But let's get on to the market. We want to talk about size and segmentation, growth of the market, and then the outlook. How's it going to look in the next couple of years? And then with the remaining time, we'll talk about a couple of the 10 key trends that we see in the market. So market's about 15 billion pounds in size. That was our view for 2020. And although we're in 21 now, this is still very much a forecast because the data isn't in yet. So this was our forecast made about a month ago in December. And volume probably about 5 billion. average price £3 something. The segments, B2C is clearly about 2/3 of the market, so that's the dominant area. B2B is mature, a lot of it's spare parts, and kit is smaller now and needs fewer parts, it's more reliable. Supply chains are changing, so there are various reasons why B2B isn't really going anywhere. B2C obviously driven by online retail, and C2X, that's partly returns, which is also driven by online retail, and then people sending parcels to each other, which is kind of decreasing now that you can go to Amazon or somewhere and mark something as a gift, rather than sending a present directly to a family member. So that's kind of the market in a nutshell. And the news is still coming out, but what we're largely hearing is that the 2020, the peak on top of a peak, as it was described, where the volumes ramped up and then ramped up again, ramped up in March and then ramped up again in November and December, that was kind of delivered pretty well. Royal Mail was certainly under a bit of strain, but no reports of disasters. Hermes, I think, was doing particularly well, but on the whole, those enormous volumes were coped with. Market growth. So on the left, we've got the parcels market, and on the right is online retail. And actually, the growth figures are kind of fairly similar because it is the main driver of B2C. And so the market was growing at 4%. To 2019, and then it kind of just really shot up in 20, and that's virtually all driven by B2C with some returns in there, and B2B kind of fell back, unsurprisingly, as lots of businesses closed down. I guess getting this number right was probably one of the hardest things. Usually forecasting the parcels market, it's a case of calibrating exactly where we think it's going to be. But this year it was actually quite a significant call. The things, there were various things that were happening. Clearly online retail was the biggest, but then you had, can the parcels industry actually cope? Can they find the extra vans and staff? Well, yes, they probably could, because many other sectors weren't using vans, and unemployment is quite high. There definitely were bottlenecks, though, around hubs and depots. And we heard about manual workarounds. So, as Matthew mentioned, use of robotics very low in the UK. Royal Mail put in place a couple of big warehouses, which I expect were probably staffed with manual sortation operations, no belts and conveyors or anything. So, that massive jump was coped with by throwing manpower at the problem. So what's the future going to look like? And a key question is, what's online retail growth going to be in 2021, and 22 afterwards? And part of that is, when will normal conditions return? But the big question is, what will retail look like? On the left, we've got return to how things were. On the right, closed up shops. And it's kind of a big question. Is the high street going to reopen and back to how we were, or is it going to collapse and we hit a tipping point? I think, Thomas, you've got a poll that we can put up now just to see what people think is likely to happen to online retail sales next year. Do you think we're going to have fast growth, 10% plus, modest growth, flat, small reduction, or a major pullback as we, the left-hand side picture where we return to everything being open?
So collecting responses now. So we have about...
Okay, give me 10 seconds to...
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to give the answer now.
Okay.
Well, it's not the answer, it's our view, so it's certainly not the answer. I really love to know the answer. Modest growth and fast growth, interesting. Most of the forecasts that were around at the end of last year were actually talking about a significant pullback, with the view that everything was going to return to normal in 21, but clearly that's premature, and so forecasts are being shifted back now. And we actually felt that, given the massive growth that we saw last year, flat, we ended up going for 2.5% growth, but which is kind of within the bounds of flat. Flat is actually a pretty major achievement to maintain that enormous growth. And some stores have already gone. Debenhams and Arcadia were kind of high-profile ones last month, but there's plenty of others. And behaviour has changed, and some people have started shopping online who never touched a computer before. And so, going back just doesn't seem realistic. But the tipping point idea, at what point does high street retail kind of collapse? Very hard to call when that would be, and what would it look like? It might be a series of events rather than one. But we expect online retail to stay at really high levels, probably growing a bit slower than it has done in the past, and maybe in 5 or 6 years' time, maybe the long-term trend, we get back to the long-term trend we might have been on anyway, but maybe we even still stay ahead of that. Anyway, that's kind of our view. And this is what it means for the parcels market. So after that big step up last year, it's probably going to continue growing, but fairly slowly.
Frank, you're already over the 5 minutes, but
I'm sorry. Okay, so let me just wrap up there. I was going to talk about trends, but really the only interesting one, the most interesting one from our point of view, is that one about robotics, that essentially, this is a picture of a robot in the bottom left, and we're not seeing that in the UK, but there's lots of new investment in hubs going in, so there has to be a role for it. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much, Frank. Yes, I'm there. I hope you can all see my screen. Thank you very much, Frank, for this presentation and your insights of the market. Hello again, everyone. I'm Mathieu Campini. I'm sales manager at FHM. With the leaders of Tech London Advocates, we wanted to organize this special event to talk about parcel automation. And I'm going to take this opportunity to simply introduce you FHM's range of parcel solutions. So at FHM, one of our focus is the parcel world. The UK alone is #1 in parcel volume in Europe. And if you can imagine, about 57 of the 67 million inhabitants are online buyers. So the UK market may not be the most automated industry, but it's certainly the one with the most innovative services in Europe, allowing, for example, customers to get their barbecue on Sunday between 10 and 11 o'clock, or swap their internet box at their door the day after it stopped working. And here is a start to understand why parcel sortation is a must and why players usually focus on labor efficiency, volume growth, and more quality services. So talk about FHM. After a remarkable history of patents in intralogistics, we have introduced in 2015 3 amazing tech that you should be aware of. So the first, a new loop sorter, fully redundant. Secondly, an ugly sorter. Yes, ugly sorter for items that were previously not compatible with automation. And the third is singulation for small and large bulk items. So all this opening the way for the full automation in parcel hubs. So after just 2 years from now, we went live with our first mobile robot, the January. We'll talk a bit later about it. You can catch up on our previous webinar dedicated to this sorter on YouTube, searching for the TLA Robotics channel. So with all those technologies, it allowed our teams to design bespoke automation based on proven technology for all kinds of items and required processes. So the whole purpose of automation is to enable operation to realize what they're supposed to. So unload trucks on belt safely in a minimum time, singulate efficiently, code and read accurately, sort fast, and also load without any mistakes, and optimize distances for delivery preparation. So we can then categorize automation into different levels as we solve our customers' challenges. So to start, some operation will run with simple conveyor lines without much controls. Operator can pick visually items and sort them manually to a destination. The performance there is limited to the single individual and around 100 sorts per operator. Then going to low and medium capacity, we generally implement these reversible systems designed for performance between 2,000 and 4,000 items per hour, doubling the efficiency up to 200 sorts per operator. We can then go for the next range of automation, who provides capacity up to 10,000 items per hour. This is generally used for a relatively high number of destinations, providing a minimum efficiency of 500 sorts per operator. So from the first, we have multiplied by 5 the operator efficiency. And here again is the Geniant. Our robot allows us to a totally new approach. So it's flexible, compact, and reconfigurable on demand. So it's suitable to fully automate sorting operations between 1,000 and 6,000 parcels per hour. This last slide, the last but not least, it's sortation relying on the Genibelt system. We can find this tech in all range of hubs with 2 main characteristics: large number of destinations above 50, or high throughput, generally above 8,000 parcels per hour. We can go much higher. It's an intelligent system adapting speed and trajectories, leading the way to 0 damages. And for us, it's by far the most used tech in FIF sorting centers. Here, FIF is proud to count more than 2,000 installations worldwide, partner for the success of its customer, which are top brand courier and retailers. And to end this presentation, I wanted to share with you here an example of a hub we have recently delivered. The challenge was to process all kinds of containers filled of all sorts of items, from very tiny to very long, so up to 2.3 meters and weighing up to 60 kilo. So we have imagined and combined systems to deliver a unique integrated solution with so plenty of systems, so singulation and high-speed diverters coupled with vision, and to address for each item its most efficient sorter, whether it's the Geniant, the Genibelt, or the Geniflex, sorry, and all this under the same roof. So increasing the level of automation, we've been able to process varying parcel formats, sustain volume growth, utilizing each system to its ultimate performance, and reduce to minimum the need for manual processing. So now I hope you will all enjoy the rest of the webinar. And as it was kind of quick, feel free to reach out on LinkedIn or by email, and I'll be more than happy to engage with you. The next presentation is by FHM Conveyors from the UK, and we have Martin, the technical director, presenting. So I'm going to pass over to you, Martin. Thanks.
Thanks, Matthew. So I'll just spin my... So, hello everyone, I'm from FHM Conveyors. Today we're looking at safe and efficient boost load handling, so part of the system that Matthew was recently looking at. Specifically, we're looking at working with telescopic conveyors. Okay, we're advancing on. So here's sort of the problem. We have a truck on the road. You'll see these trucks all over the world, same sort of configuration, same sort of load. So typical pallet loading full of boxes. So there's a slight problem with that, is the amount of product that you're getting in that inside that truck. And all of that volume is not product, sorry. So that's air, pallets, wood. The air you don't have to ship back, but the pallets often get recirculated. You're looking at double handling. So we fix that by switching from pallet load to loose load. You can fix it that way. Some criteria, you need to have it needs to be handleable. Typically it's manual handling, and normally they have to be stacked. So you're looking at carton boxes, which obviously stack quite nicely. Bags tend to fall into whatever they're dropped onto because they're soft. Tires have a very specific stacking type. That's called lacing. So let's have a look at the risks associated with manual handling. So the traditional way of unloading loose load is to take a pallet into the truck, and then you load that pallet full of the load, and then you take the pallet out using some sort of forklift device, whether it's manual. So this first one you're looking at, you're lifting loads from overhead. Obviously there's some risks associated with that. You can back injuries, heavy loads falling on you, or in that case, his partner. Second picture, you can see the guy standing on a box, which could be unstable. You've got possible fall risk. And the third picture you see there is a fork truck working inside a closed container. So what in the warehouse would have been an impact injury, you're now looking at the risk of a crush injury. So there's obviously an increase there. And it's worth noting that this unloading method is quite slow. And typically you're looking at 2 to 4 hours, multiple people. So we can use telescopic conveyors to try and improve things. Telescopic conveyors consist of 2 main parts. You've got the fixed base, which is fixed to the warehouse on the concrete floor. And then you've got the extending moving stages, which don't touch the truck. They cantilever out and extend out in a telescopic fashion into the truck. For added functionality, we'll look at the tilt and man rider. So we add this pivot pin at the back, some hydraulic rams at the front. We've got a man rider platform, and that gives a height variance to the user. So they're now moving up and down. So what we have here is a short film. I've had to do a lot of editing here to keep it short. So we've got 2 standard containers on machine. We've got 2 operators on the platform, so they can work together. And that's obviously much better than lifting product from overhead. They're lifting in that golden lifting zone. These guys are now operating in a nice open space. No risk of crushing anybody. You can get off the man rider to load those last boxes. And here's the really interesting thing. Thanks to one of our resellers, they did a speeded up time film. So this is a 40-foot container full of boxes of clothing. First container is finished in 19 minutes. The second one is in 23 minutes. So you can understand going from 2 to 4 hours, this is much faster. So looking at a quick case study, just using some standard components there. We've got a standard carton box, Euro pallet, 45-foot container. And these are very basic calculations, but you kind of get the gist. We're looking at 1,500 euros a load shipping from UK to Central Europe. So looking at pallet loading, we're ending up with about 8 loads a day to achieve the 1 million cartons a year. And with loose loading, because the extra capacity, you get 5 loads a day. So that saves 691 loads a year. That's €1 million. So that's a bit of a no-brainer investment. And we also have to consider the 691 trucks that aren't on the road, the fuel they're not burning. That's think of the carbon footprint. So looking at efficiency on loose loading. So rather than doing it in the slow way, which is what we saw in the slides. So it takes 4 hours to unload, but there's no investment. But with a typical telescopic conveyor, you're looking at probably around €50,000 investment. More people, but much less time. So it takes 30 minutes to unload a container, like you saw in this short video. So that's saving just over 11,000 man hours a year. It's about €200,000 a year. So your payback for a 50,000 investment is only 13 weeks. So that's a pretty short payback time. And I know it's going through an awful lot very quickly. I hope you've got some information from that. If there's anything interesting, again, feel free to reach out either via LinkedIn or email. So thanks for listening.
Yes, thank you, Martin, for your intervention. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people interested and to ask some more question about how to safely unload a truck. Thank you. The next app is Twinswheel, a French startup with Benjamin, the co-founder. So over to you, Benjamin, when you want.
You hear my screen now?
Yes, we can.
Yes, okay. So, hello, I'm Benjamin Talon, one of the two founders of Twinswheel. Twinswheel, it's a SME based in south of France, and we develop small mobile robots that we call them Droids. So I show you some example of droids. We have two types of droids. The first droids are for factory, for carry some parts or some tools, and they're able to follow someone by bicycle or by walk, and the 100 kilograms or able to 100 kilograms. The robot is totally autonomous displacement, is able to catch some box autonomously and carry them in the factory or in the warehouse. So this is an example for, in this case, the robot is able to catch a box which contain all the tools for make the maintenance on the machine and carry the tools around the factory to distribute the tools when the guys need some specific tools or specific parts. So the vehicle is totally autonomous and is able to manage its displacement only by the vision. That means it's not necessary to have any modification in the factory, and the robot, just by the vision, he recognizes some parts in the factory, for example, and is able to move to go to the right machine or the right place. So this vehicle is able to have a displacement up to 25 kilometers per hour. In factory, generally, we limit the speed at 6 kilometers per hour. So this version of Droid have a system of lifts, and today our robot have an autonomous, are able to ride up to 8 hours in continuous. The second type of droids are made for parcel delivery in city. In this case, the robots follow someone, but we have also the right to use it in full autonomous mode. And with this application, the robot delivers parcel, for an example, for replenishment of grocery. This version of robots is made for postman for delivery parcels. So the robot follows the person with only by vision, and to avoid to the guys to carry the load. So today we have some robots like that in France, but also in Switzerland, in Germany, and in America. This is our main advantage. We have developed very specific robots which have four-wheel drive, four-wheel steering, and four-wheel suspended. That means our robots are able to pass every type of obstacle. For example, we are the unique company in the world which our robots are able to climb a stair of 20 centimeters. So we have different type of robots. For an example, the bigger robots are able to carry up to 500 kilograms, and the smaller, it's just for help disabled person, and they're able to carry 30 kilograms. So if you need for more information, you can go on Twinswheel, our website, and you have many videos on YouTube if you need more explanation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Benjamin, for your presentation and introducing the series of droid that you've developed. So now we will have Packsize from the UK with Kevin and Germany with Philip. So over to you.
Very much. Thank you, Matthew, very much, and very good evening to all on the call. And thank you for the opportunity to, I guess, introduce Packsize to you. So who are we and what do we do? Packsize, let me take you through very quickly at a glance what we do. We are guided by our mission to deliver smart packaging for a healthy planet. And when I say smart, that's with the introduction and the use of software and technology to deliver right-sized boxes for every product and every order that needs to be shipped. And the healthy side of it is to improve the environmental and the sustainability and the sustainable credentials of all packaging that we come in contact with. We're a multinational packaging technology company. We're present in the UK and Europe, in North America. We're in Australia and have reach into Asia as well. So have pretty wide reach. We deliver on demand, so packaging as it's needed, on demand packaging systems, and work with software and various workflow solutions to deliver that. And globally, we've around 2,000 plus installations across the world. The challenges that we see or that we're coming up against, I guess, in the packaging industry are the demand for increasing throughput. I think Mathieu and Fives mentioned the aspect of labor and labor shortages. We're seeing the demand for either semi-automation or full automation to help package goods. When it comes to demand, people are seeking to try and get more out in the same time or use less people or drive efficiencies. We're seeing a desire for the right box, for the right order. There's a demand, I guess, in consumers, but not only consumers and businesses, to reduce damages. It creates huge costs and has massive impact on the sustainability side of things. Consumers want a positive unboxing experience, and all over packaging is being looked upon to deliver what it can, where it can, when it comes to sustainability. So they're all big ticket items that we look at. And how do we address those at Packsize? Well, I guess we deploy packaging technologies and solutions across our machine portfolio that will deliver anything from 1 to 100 to more than 1,000 right-sized boxes per hour. And that's through a wide and a varied range of solutions. We deal in many industries, so from manufacturing and production, we deal with lighting, print media, e-commerce, small goods. There's basically not many items that we can't find a solution to package and to right-size that package. When it comes to semi-automation or fully automated solutions, at PackLeap we design and construct with customers customizable solutions to deal with, I guess, the challenges on labor, but the challenges on dealing with long goods, heavy goods, and doing that in either a semi or a fully automized manner. That can deal with single item, or it can deal with multi-item shipments. And where needed, we've got technology and software that we can cube orders, so cartonizing software to cube orders and ensure that all the packages that we produced are done so in a right-sized manner. Back to the idea of seeking to find the right box for the right order. Again, with various processes that we have and can use and software to see any business and any customer process based on where they are today or where they might want to go tomorrow. We either deploy two very simple things: box first, so that the dimensions of the items to be packaged, if it's single or multi, are known, we can cube that and cartonize that and produce the perfect fitting box for that order to be picked and packed into and then sealed. Or we can, I guess, look at it the other way around, and when the items are picked and assembled and ready to be packed, again, we can right size whatever package is required to make sure that we package that in a right sized box. So a varied number of solutions, and again, all very integratable with customer WMS systems, warehouse management systems that drive goods around conveying, to license plate stuff to get the right boxes, either full or empty, to the right place at the right time. I guess when it comes to reducing damages, a key thing is to reduce air and take unwanted air and space out of packages to help protect them. I guess the benefit there, or the knock-on effect there also, is to ensure that we remove void, remove plastic, remove unnecessary material that's shipped. When packages aren't right-sized. And overall, we'll generally see across our customer base a reduction in corrugated at about 20%. And the last point I had in terms of challenges is dealing with sustainability. In 2019, Packsize customers globally manufactured over 479 million right-sized boxes. And since 2013 as a company, Packsize customers have taken out over 300,000 tons of CO2 from the environment and items they ship. So delivering, I think, on sustainability, and that's done, I guess, across our, I'm not going to go into all of these for the 5-minute window that we have, but again, you can see a wide and a varied range of machine solutions, all integratable with software, all managed on, on a Packsize platform that's easily integratable with any customer system and looked after and covered by Packsize Care. So we make sure that every solution is up and running, 100% of the time, delivering what you need. And I think that's probably about my 5 minutes, Matthew, is it? And yeah, I'll leave on screen. You can reach out to myself or to my colleague, Philip, and our details are, I guess, are in the link as well. So thank you very much for your time this evening.
Thank you, Kevin. I very like the idea of automation, right box for the right order, environment friendly.
Yeah.
So now we have Barcode Connexions from the UK with Peter, their sales rep, presenting. Over to you, Peter.
Oh, thank you. Good evening. Barcode Connexions is a UK distributor of value-added reseller of auto-ident systems and devices for the capture of the metrics of freight in logistics market, concentrating on the barcode, the RFID, the weight and the volume. But this evening we're going to speak about the barcode system and getting it right to ensuring that your products get processed efficiently in the supply chain, whether they be in tote bins, packets and parcels on a conveyor through to pallets. So we're going to speak about the details to consider, and these will be helping you to find the immediate questions to ask, including what type of barcode should I be using, a 1D code or a 2D code, or a combination of the both, for example, on a courier address label, for example. And this will instantly guide you towards the type of technology you'll be using, whether it be laser or image. This information can be used with all the different variations, with all the different global manufacturers of equipment, because the technology is all very mature and they all have exactly the same types of principles of operation. So these are the types of questions that you'll be looking to have answered for you. It is correct to draw on your knowledge of either cameras or mobile phone cameras to help understand the principles of barcode scanning, because the principles of that are exactly the same. Whether they be the field of view, which is the blue square on the that you can see in front of you, so that the area of interest that you'll be looking to capture your barcode. The depth of field for the focus. The reading distance. Is the product going to be quite close to the scanner or imager, or is it actually going to be sort of some way away? Sometimes you can have applications that are a few meters away from the actual device itself. The label size, well, what I mean by that is normally the minimum bar width. Different symbologies or languages of barcode have different sizes. And again, these are dependent upon the mathematics of the code and obviously what you want the code to do. So the label orientation, I'll be picking up on this a little bit in the next slide, whether the code will be in either ladder or picket fence, which is traditional orientation for a 1D code, or an omnidirectional 2D code. The ability to be able to read codes depending on the aspect ratio, which is the length to the width, is vital to make sure that you have the right combination of the right scanners to effectively read your barcode. And this would be instantly for the sides, the front, the top, even the bottom of the code if you have a gap between the conveyors. The skew and the pitch of the labels, this is also vital because sometimes your barcodes will not be on a conveniently placed on a rectangular or a square box. They could be on something we call ugly freight, which is basically plastic bags, for example. And of course, then the label will be following the contour of the product that it's on. Label quality. This is also vitally important. The emphasis is always to read your barcode first time. Generally tend to find that barcode quality plays the majority of the influences to the effectiveness of any barcode reading system. And in my experience, that you should trust your systems first and attempt to address the issue by improving barcode label quality wherever you possibly can. In the case of courier express parcels, where that is going to be very difficult to actually control because they have to scan products that are given to them, barcode systems now can be considered to be very aggressive in their reading algorithms and even using deep learning technology to improve read rates wherever they possibly can, not only for barcode but also for optical character recognition. Interesting point is that, just to pick up on the fact, is that barcode orientation, this is sometimes can be confusing for users of barcode labels, not only for printing but also for scanning. I've just got the traditional 1D barcode there, and you can see there the label of direction on the travel. That would be, the top one would be considered to be picket fence because the barcodes modules are in the direction of the travel, whereas ladder is the opposite. It's 90 degrees to the actual direction of travel. So therefore, you would actually use either line, rastering, or oscillating mirror types of laser barcode readers, or you can actually use an imager to be able to cope with either orientation sort of coming through. Sometimes some labels, some customers have more than one barcode label to read on a label, and so therefore it's quite useful to know what you can use there and have a combination of scanning devices. Typical examples of that would be in the top left-hand corner. You can see a traditional line scanner, perhaps reading a low aspect ratio barcode. It's narrow, length to width, and this will be typically on the side of a tote bin, which I just have indicated there. And to read that barcode effectively, you have to angle the laser to cope with the diagonals of the barcode label. On the top right-hand corner, you then have the same application pretty well shown, but using an imaging device, which will take care of any type of orientation of the label. In the bottom left-hand corner, I'm just showing a static semi-automatic application where the operator would actually offer the barcode label to the scanner, and therefore when a human operator is actually being involved, it's far better to make the life as easy as possible to get the maximum throughput. So definitely imaging from that point of view to read a combination of, I've just shown you there on a label, of both 2D and 1D codes. Scaling up from single scanners, you can have omnidirectional barcode reading systems to cope with a whole number of or whole different scenarios of freight profile.
Well, Peter, you're well above the 5 minutes.
Do apologize then? I shall just leave it.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Please finish. And
I'm just literally just showing you there, for example, different applications that you can have, and including, if I may, just show very, very quickly a few seconds, having a manual operation of a pallet truck being loaded onto the back of a vehicle. And as I was saying earlier, perhaps I should have turned the sound off. Having a long reading distance required to cope with the different barcodes on the side of a pallet. So thank you very much indeed for your time. Thank you very much indeed for your time, and I'll be absolutely delighted to have a chat with you or any of your viewers regarding any aspects of barcode reading going forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Peter, for this very technical details on the barcode. I'm sure you'll have plenty of questions for those looking to apply this kind of technology. Now, next up is Mechabotics from France with its co-founder, Jean-Christophe. So over to you, JC.
Merci. Thank you, Mathieu. I'm trying to share, but I cannot. Something is sharing.
Peter, I think Peter, you need to.
Yeah, Peter, could you release
sharing? I do apologize. Please? Sorry.
No problem. So many thanks for the invitation by TLA and all the partners. My name is Jean-Christophe Forroux, and with my associate Zin Shebab, who is participating also to the meeting, we introduce you Mechabotics. Mechabotics builds innovative mechanisms and robots for cooperative applications in logistics and industry, based on research, previous research. So here you can see functions like obstacle crossing, like cooperative payload transport, and mobile manipulators. And we integrate that into logistic applications. So we're located in Toulouse. We start from innovation. We also integrate intellectual property topics. And we can develop products up to TRL 7, let's say, approximately at the moment. We're working in La Cité, it's a shared space for companies. We have a strong connection with research, particularly Institut Pascal. We are from this lab from Clermont-Ferrand. And you have a timeline here showing several PhD results and a European project also that have been integrated and that are the basement of the startup Mechabotics that was created in 2000, that was initiated in 2020. So at the moment, we are developing our own product that will be shown later, and we are open to co-development. So we can customize our products for you. And we are also applying to iLab national competition for funding. And so our main idea, our product is named M3 Cooper, that is to say modular mobile manipulator for cooperation. So it's inspired by ants, bio-inspired by ants that can co-manipulate payloads if a payload is too heavy for one individual, or that can also gather and connect to each other. So from that, we derive the concept of Polyrobot, that is to say several robots that cooperate. It has been patented and several patents are ongoing. The context is the context of industry and logistics. You can see that fixed position infrastructures For instance, for car assembly, the assembly line is a very big conveyor, and there are trends towards something that could be reconfigured based on mobile platforms. Here on the top right, you can see a car on an AGV. You see also many arms on these AGVs, typically for kitting applications. And also, this is for industry, but you see similar trends into logistics with giant warehouses. And also in France, you have the emergence of supermarket drives. I know that in Germany it's not so common, but in France, just in 2019, you have more than 5,000 drives that were created for a turnover, just for drives, of approximately 7 billion euros. So these are emerging tendencies. And in this context, we develop this product. This is version 1 of M3 Cooper. Here you can see an application inspired by automobile, where we want to move boxes. So they can be empty and moved by a single unit, or they can be heavier and moved by 2 units. They can be caught on the ground. They can be elevated on a rack. And so what are the advantages of cooperation and modularity? In fact, the idea is to adjust the size of a robot to the size of a payload. If there is a small product, it's dealt with a single mono robot. We call that an M-bot in short. And if it's bigger product, it can be conveyed by a Polyrobot or P-bot. So this goes towards standardizing the size of a robot, whatever the size of a payload. It can be small, medium, large, extra large. And also it goes towards standardization. So obviously the robot will be less expensive. And the idea is to use the full potential of a robot. So and to use it all the time. If you have a small robot, it cannot manage XL payloads. And also, it's not very efficient to manage a small payload with XL robots. So this is not very good. And the last advantage is failure tolerance, because if your super big robot is failing, you cannot change it easily. Instead, if you have a modular robot, it's easy to exchange one single module. So our modular robot looks like that. This is the first prototype. It's a small scale. It could be bigger. It will be a human size, approximately 1.8 meter for the final version. We can make it as big as you need. It has several locomotion modes on 2 wheels, or even it can use the contact point of an end effector. So it's a 3-wheel mode. We have there is the cased version here. So it localizes with respect to the payload. It can co-manipulate it and coordinate motion and force. There is still ongoing work on these prototypes. And the idea is that you have a centralized control. So the human is close. There is one single operator. It gives a control, and the control is derived to every unit. And so the market segment for us is logistics in first, with the context of e-commerce and warehouses, as we said. And we think that we can fit our product in between, on the left side, forklift trucks, and on the right side, AGVs with arm. The forklift is inexpensive. It can load very heavy payloads. The AGV is very expensive, cannot load very high payloads, and cannot lift. And the truck on the other side is not autonomous, whereas the AGV is. So the idea is to gather all this. And the scalability also allows to deal with the strange shape payloads, typically long payloads that cannot be dealt with forklift easily. And we have 2 options also. We can have or not a manipulating arm, typically for triplicking applications. And we can have or not a lifting device, typically for lifting 2 meters high. Other segments exist. So other tasks and transport in industry, such as polishing, grinding, painting large parts. We also consider civil engineering with delivery, let's say the last meters delivery, typically for materials, plate of materials to deliver onto a building site. And also we consider asbestos removal, because we worked on the Bots to Wreck European project that was on this topic. And also, if anybody interested here in the audience on inserting robots into trucks, because we plan to make more compact robots than the existing ones, so they could be put on board and taken with the truck, so we could do some charging, discharging, or tasks around the trailer. So in conclusion, we have several technological bricks that have been prototyped, such as a robot-robot cooperation, transport of payloads, both from the ground or to furniture. We can also, I did not develop this, cross some obstacles. And our product M3 Cooper is very specific because it can gather a group of robots. It's modular robot. It has several advantages: reconfiguration to the task, lower buying cost, higher use rate, energetic efficiency and redundancy, failure tolerance. And so I showed 4 segments of markets, and we are completely open to partnership and to customize our product to your needs. And the idea also is to contribute to develop robotic in France, because France also has a big potential of progress for robotics. As a TLA know, for the UK, it's similar in France. Many thanks for your attention.
Thank you, Jean-Christophe. Very interesting. I definitely can see something for the long items or heavy, long shapes in logistics with this application. So now we'll have finally, before the Q&A session, an intervention from O&I Consulting from the UK with Nigel Marsh. Over to you, Nigel. If Jean-Christophe, you can stop sharing your screen, please.
Sure.
Thanks.
Okay, good evening. Oh, sorry, excuse me, I've just pressed the wrong button. Good evening, everyone. I'm Nigel Marsh. I'm a director at O&I Consulting, where I've worked for the last 10 years. Prior to that, I worked for UPS for 21 years in a range of roles, including industrial engineering, director for North Europe, engineering director for the supply chain solutions operations for EMEA, and operations director. O&I is a team of very experienced consultants with a broad range of backgrounds in operations, consulting, engineering, and operations research. We help our clients to deliver practical, fact-based solutions fit for purpose and providing the desired results. We engage all project stakeholders in a collaborative approach, providing independent advice and solutions. Our skill sets and expertise often fill the gaps in our client organizations, as well as providing the processing capacity and drive to deliver practical working solutions, however complex the project may seem. In many cases, we work as an independent and trusted party between our clients and their suppliers, helping all stakeholders due to our understanding and experience. Many of the factors that I've listed here existed before sort of Brexit and COVID changed our lives and working environments. However, these factors remain relevant today and for the future. I think for many businesses, the final mile can be the most difficult and expensive. Attempts to create one-stop deliveries regularly don't work within companies for all their services and products, let alone across and between different companies. I think we've all experienced multiple deliveries from the same companies for single orders, and numerous deliveries per day, ranging from first thing in the morning to last thing at night. Consolidated deliveries across the whole supply chain tend to only happen in special circumstances within restrictive environments, such as in airports and in other secure facilities. But when you think 20% of the driver's day can be lost in poor delivery methods, and even more in duplicated mileage for the drivers, the potential gains in efficiency and service in these areas significantly outweigh some of the sort of future methods and technologies, such as drones, which tend to get a lot more media coverage. Unprecedented growth levels that we've seen for some companies that we heard about earlier from Apex, driven by the boom in online orders, has seen the growth. Managing these volume peaks in an efficient manner with high service levels takes time, preparation, and investment. Where these new systems were developed rapidly, there are often significant opportunities to optimize and reduce that waste. Within these periods of rapid expansion, getting it done in the short term is often the only focus. Efficient, standardized methods and training staff in the benefits of using them are often put off for a quiet day. However, failure to address them leads to higher operating costs, earlier capital costs, and lower levels of service. Mechanization with conveyors, as we've heard, is being replaced by fully automated systems capable of processing tens of thousands of packages per hour with limited manual intervention. The systems may be more complicated and expensive, but offer the potential to reduce future operating costs significantly and de-skill many jobs. However, lack of understanding and knowledge of these systems can lead to costly mismatches between requirements and design. An area I'd love to talk about more if time permitted, but I think it's something that probably most of us have seen or experienced. As David Attenborough keeps telling us, we must all play our part in reducing waste of all kinds if we are to restrict climate change and protect the environment for future generations. The O&I team has worked with many clients to address most of the issues that we've discussed here, alongside many of the other services and areas that I've listed here. The team have worked on many reference projects, having worked on 3 Olympic Games, managed projects in excess of £100 million with automated capacities in excess of 40,000 packages per hour, as well as many smaller projects. We've helped airports develop baggage resilience to address mass disruption events, work with mail companies and rail operators to deal with growth in their volumes, and to develop innovative new methods. Basically, anywhere where there's movement of goods, information, or data, we can help. Thank you. I thought I'd keep it quick at the end. If you have any questions beyond the webinar, please feel free to contact Ross or myself, and we'll be very happy to help. Okay, thank you very much, and back to you, Mathieu.
Thank you very much, Nigel. You can stop to share the screen.
Yep, I'm just doing it now. There we go. Back to you.
So now a big thank you to all the presenters and companies. We can start the session of the Q&A session. So you can just use the Q&A section to write a question if you want to address it to everybody or to one of the presenter, and we will take it on. We already over an hour of the webinar. So we try to make 5 minutes for each, so we can make something short. So everybody can introduce a different topic, and the audience can discover or rediscover several topics in just 1 hour. There's a question about if the presentation will be available somewhere. Yes, we're gonna post it on YouTube on our TLA Robotics channel. If you just search on YouTube TLA Robotics, you will find it, and you can find the previous 2 webinars, which one was, let's say, general webinar on robotics with different, very interesting topics, and the second one was focused on software controls for robots. So also, if you have questions after we close the event, you can post them on the event page, and so any one of the presenters or the audience can engage there. Yes. What else? Also, if you want to continue to follow us, you can follow us on the page of TLA Robotics, and so attend the other events. And maybe you can reply, Jean-Christophe. Is it possible to have a video of the Mechabotics robot?
Yeah, we can show some demos. It's still a prototype, but I encourage the person to contact us. It will be a pleasure.
Yeah, can you maybe put again your email on the response?
Unfortunately, the response disappeared.
Okay, if not, so just search for Jean-Christophe.
Oh yeah, okay.
And
okay, I'm typing.
maybe I have a question for you, Kevin at Packsize. So yeah, noted the right box for the right order. Is it always because I believe there is different level of automation to make the carton box, and can you always make it for the purpose for what is inside, or is it something that you struggle even to propose because it engage over cost, or what are the trend there?
If I understand correctly, you're inquiring as to, is it possible to make the right box for each and every order that you want to ship? Is that right?
Yes, but is it a reality in the industry? Because there are standards and there are costs when we have flexible solution always.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, the industry is, parcels in hubs and that travel around, generally move around with somewhere between 40 and 60% air inside them. So there's a huge way for us to go to deliver on our mission of smart packaging for a healthy planet. Everything that a Packsize customer sends has the ability for us to right size that and to make the perfect fitting box. Obviously, if an element such as a chair, has space in between the legs and the arms, then it's relatively difficult just to make a corrugated pack to fit around a chair. But we will do our best to right size and to minimize corrugated use and void in any item that we package. But for sure, there's a long way to go in right sizing and taking air out of packages. Does that answer your question?
Yes, definitely. I don't know if any of the panelists as well want to ask a question to another, or we'll, if not, we'll just end. Okay, so there is no more question. I invite everybody to post his question or any curiosity you have on the page of the webinar on LinkedIn. And so I'm delighted to say that our first webinar is over. And so please, follow us, and I hope to talk to you all soon.
Thank you all, and
okay.
Good evening.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Many thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.